All right. Hello, citizens of the Nigelverse. It's Nigel here once again, and this is going to be another wrestling review. This is technically the last review of the Invasion storyline in and of itself was Survivor Series 2001. And I've decided I'm not going to do the two compilations. I'll just put them all together. So that compilation will probably be out hopefully next week. But in the meantime, it's finally time to end things off. It's time to lift most of this weight off my shoulder. We still have one more. That's one more video tomorrow. That's the final analysis. I promise that one's going up much earlier because thankfully I don't have to actually watch anything or review anything. I just have to talk about how and kind of wrap things up. So that should hopefully be up much earlier tomorrow. Sorry for the late uploads as of late. But that hopefully, now that these are out of the way, hey, now that the weight is off my shoulders, now that the clouds have opened up and we can see the sunshine again, I should hopefully be back to normal with the earlier uploads than what I have been doing. But nevertheless, never mind that. And now that the and the invasion storyline, I should say, is in the WWF's rear view, what is the fallout to all of it? And what will happen when and WWF crowns its first ever, I should say, undisputed WWF champion? Let's find out. I'm of course talking about Vengeance 2001. So of course, as always, I'm not professional wrestling reviewer, analyst, or anything like that. Just a man who enjoys a good time, and I had a pretty alright time with the show. All things considered, it is interesting to see what direction the company's headed in the wake of the invasion storyline. What's kind of going on at this time I'm in. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, if you've seen these reviews of mine before, you kind of already know how this works. If you haven't, I'm going to be talking about what I liked and disliked about each match. We're going to go match by match. We're going to talk about the show, all of that. So, the overarching story is that the WWF, first of all, has been saved as a result of Team WWF winning at Survivor Series, but also, in the wake of that, they are unifying the World Championships. Admittedly, while don't get me wrong, the winner takes all Survivor Series match at Survivor Series 2001 was fantastic. I'm surprised they didn't do the World Championship unification match at Survivor Series to really wrap things up. I'm surprised they held out till Vengeance, um, but I guess if you have that tour Survivor Series, then it's what's left for Vengeance. So I guess I can kind of see why they held off until Vengeance. Uh, but uh, uh, but uh, Ve- but the championships are going to be unified. So it started the Raw after where Vince McMahon stripped Austin of the title because Austin was part of the alliance, and so he lost Austin. So technically, in storyline was fired. Vince was going to strip Austin of the title and give it to Kurt Angle. But when all of a sudden the Nature Boy Ric Flair shows up, Ric Flair shows up and reveals that Shane and Stephanie, in the wake of their loss at Survivor Series, sold their shares to him, making Vince McMahon and Ric Flair partner. And Vince is very upset about it. It's so Vince McMahon and Ric Flair are essentially partners. Vince has turned heel again, and to truth be told, he was already kind of still a heel, in some ways during the storyline, but he was, I guess, on the face side of things, that being the WWF side of things. But now he essentially returned to normal. It seemed like just about everything is fully back to normal. It's like the end of end of like an episode of a sitcom or like a cartoon where the thing that was plaguing the town, the situation that was happening in the town, has been resolved by the protagonist, the main character here, and now everything's back to normal. Vince is back to being full blown heel. Austin and seemingly faces no real repercussions for his involvement in the alliance, and now how Ric Flair is thrown in the mix. Wow, someone from WCW being put in a position of authority. Rick, where the hell were you 5 months ago? But I guess better late than never. But with this pivot towards Vince and Rick being partners, and then the Undisputed Championship. So it starts with uh it starts with uh, Vince wanting to, or I believe it was Rick wanting Austin to defend the title against Kurt Angle at Vengeance, but then I believe it was Vince said, hey, you know what, or it might have been the other way around. I think Vince said Austin defend the title against Kurt Angle at Vengeance, but then Ric Flair said, and how about Rock defends the World Heavyweight Championship against Chris Jericho? And then the winners of both will battle, and the World Championships will be unified. We'll have the first ever Undisputed Champion. And they put it over in a big way, even in the opening hype package, which features Freddie Blassie. I think I forgot to mention that he was in the hype package for Survivor Series as well. But they really show the history of both world championships in both WWF and WCW, and talks about how these championships are going to be unified, and they're going to be brought together. So they're essentially fusing together and to become the Undisputed Championship. We wouldn't actually have the Undisputed Championship belt until the following year in 2002. So we essentially just had the superstars hold both championships. I think we actually got the official Undisputed Championship design. Fantastic WWE Championship design, by the way. I think we got that after, well, first of all, after WWF couldn't use the WWF name anymore because of the World Wildlife Fund lawsuit, but also after the first, oh my goodness, I cannot talk. Essentially after the first brand split, where Raw and SmackDown became two separate shows, two separate brands with two separate rosters. Whereas then SmackDown got the WWE Championship. It became Undisputed Championship. Eventually, that was dropped, but it's kept the design, of course. Meanwhile, Raw got the World Heavyweight Championship. That was brought back once Eric Bischoff was in charge. Where was Eric Bischoff during the storyline? I feel like I'll get to it when I do my final analysis, but where was Ric Flair and where was Eric Bischoff? But nevertheless, but for the time being, the championships are going to be unified. So, in the last stretch of matches, in the final three matches, Austin will defend the WWF Championship against Kurt Angle. The Rock will defend the WCW World Championship against Chris Jericho, and then the winners of each will face each other to become the new Undisputed Champion. And we will get to that later on in the show. But you can tell from this and everything throughout the show, including like the opening kind of promo from Vince, talking about when The Rock stuffed his face in Rikishi's posterior, his butt, a couple weeks ago on, I believe it was SmackDown, on and Vince kind of insults the audience and does the heel promo and everything, saying he doesn't want Austin to win. Says that he who laughs last laughs the loudest. And it seems that Vince will attempt to have the last laugh, but Ric Flair then interrupts and says, "As you know, these people came for a pay-per-view called Vengeance, so let's just get started." Pretty much just cuts off Vince. But I say all that to say, it very much seems like, at least to me, that the company, the WF, is trying to essentially move as far away from the invasion storyline as possible. Well, now the invasion storyline is out of the way. It seems like they're really trying to sweep it under the rug. Almost the reaction of, "Hey, WF, what about the invasion storyline?" And WF's response being, "What invasion storyline?" Like now, obviously they can't completely he get rid of the alliance storyline because Test still has immunity. You still have Austin as the champion, and you still have the world championship there. But with those being unified, it seems like they're trying to just move on from the alliance storyline as quickly as possible, at least to me. But nevertheless, now that all that is out of the way, getting into the first match. Well, there is a pre-show match slash a match on Heat where the APA, that being Bradshaw and Farouk, defeated Billy and Chuck. But next up in tag team action, this is the match that essentially, in a way, interrupts Vince's promo. Oh, Scotty 2 Hottie and Albert battle Christian and Test. Now, Christian and Test would go on to form the Un-Americans stable, who pretty much their gimmick being they're anti-American. So it was Christian, Test, Lance Storm, if I'm not mistaken, and William Regal eventually he be added to the group, especially because the whole Un-American stable was essentially just three Canadians. So they're like, hey, let's add William Regal, so that it can truly be a bit more diverse. But they weren't. But I don't think they were the Un-Americans quite just yet. This match, all right for the most part. Sky Zuhati is teaming with Albert, who is the Hip Hop Hippo. At this point in time, I mentioned Rikishi. Rikishi is back in the company. I believe it was that segment where Vince was pushing to Rikishi's backside. I believe that was the segment where Rikishi came back. If you remember her, when he fought William Regal at, I believe it was I want to say it was Judgment Day, if I'm not mistaken. And when Rikishi fought William Regal at Judgment Day, and I'm not talking about the group nowadays. But when he fought William Regal, he injured his shoulder, so he pretty much missed the whole Goldang invasion. Seems to be going around. I don't know, unfortunately. And I'm definitely also going to mention stuff like that in my final analysis. It was the December 6th episode of SmackDown where Rikishi came back. He injured his shoulder at Judgment Day, and he delivered the stink face to Vince. But nevertheless, Sky Tuhati still teaming with Albert for the time being. But like I said, this match, all right, for the most part. An okay way, I guess, to start the show. Scotty, he does not get the worm in this time. Christian tries to hit a worm of his own, but but ultimately Albert comes in to make the save before he's taken out by Ted. Scotty does hit the worm onto Tess, and then Albert nails Christian with the Baldo bomb. So Scotty and Albert get the win here. So okay, a opener for the most part, kind of just a way to kind of wake the crowd up, and you can tell very much still into Scotty and Albert to an extent. But next up for the Intercontinental Championship, speaking of William Regal, Edge defends the Intercontinental Championship against William Regal. Regal is now beginning into it with Edge. Man, William Regal feuding with a lot of people. I think he's been at almost every pay-per-view as well this year. It's interesting to see all the names who have been at just about every pay-per-view. And I forgot to make this joke when I talk about Rikishi coming back, so I'll make it here. Rikishi injured his shoulder. That's what you get for besmirching William Regal. But nevertheless, that's out of the way. Regal has run afoul of Edge, kind of in a similar way to their rivalry, or at least the rivalry between William Regal and Chris Jericho, except thankfully this time a Hey Edge that I know of at least doesn't pee in Regal's teapot, and there's no Duchess Queen Hurry this time. Which if either of those things aren't the case, is this really a complete feud? something to think about. Oh, but anyway, hey, this match also pretty good. But both doing relatively well. Edge ultimately hits the spear on Regal in order to pick up the win, and Edge is taken out for a bit. It and how Regal does is try to use his brass knuckles. That's actually when Edge hits him with the spears. When Regal tries to use the brass knuckles, and Jerry Lawler tries to vouch for William Regal, but that he didn't use the brass knuckles, but Jim Ross having none of it. I should also probably mention that, yes, you heard me correctly just now. Jerry the King Lawler is back on commentary. So I believe it was the Raw right after Survivor Series. Paul Heyman was fired. He essentially crashed out a little bit, tried attacking. I believe he tried attacking Jim Ross. He was carried out. Jerry the King Lawler was brought back. So, the King and JR are reunited. If you remember, Jerry had left in 2000 when his wife at the time, the cat, left. She was fired, so Jerry also left in protest. But they broke up, so eventually Jerry Lawler came back. And I gotta say, man, Jerry Lawler was not missed on commentary. Jerry Lawler, Jim Ross, very iconic duo, but a lot of stuff Jerry Lawler says on the show, it's like, jeez, you sure we couldn't keep Paul Heyman? And kind of, but R.I.P. Jim Ross, Paul Heyman commentary duo. It was short lived, but you will be missed. Anyway, next up is brother versus brother as Matt Hardy takes on his younger brother Jeff with Lita as a special guest referee. So this essentially stems from Survivor Series back when Jeff had the match won. If you remember, Jeff had the match won, but decided, hey, screw it, I'm going for the Swanton and missed, essentially costing his brother the match. Matt is very reasonably upset with Jeff for costing them the match. So the Hardys are really been getting into it, and they kind of been teasing at it as of late. Excuse me, essentially teasing a breakup. The breakup wouldn't occur just yet. It wouldn't occur till a little later on. And then that's when we would get like Matt Hardy version 1 and stuff like that within the next year. But for the time being, Matt and Jeff are at each other, and I do love the high package how it shows Matt and Jeff as they come up, like complimenting each other. Oh, Matt's so smart. Oh, Jeff is always a risk taker. He's always innovative. But then it shows them being at odds. And now Lita essentially is caught in the middle because she's Matt Hat's girlfriend and she loves Matt, but she also loves Jeff. She also sees Jeff as kind of her brother, in a way. So beforehand, Lita says she's going to call the match down the middle. Also, Jerry will not, and this is kind of what I was talking about, Jerry will not shut up about Lita's ref outfit. But Lita says she's calling it right down the middle. Matt saying he's going to prove he's the superior brother, and then afterwards, he and Lita will celebrate. Will that be the case? Well, we're going to find out. I do love that they play the Hardy Boys theme, and then Jeff comes out, and then they don't stop the theme, they just keep it going, and then Matt comes out. A nice little detail. This match, pretty decent for the most part, but you can tell the crowd didn't really know how to feel because they didn't necessarily want to see these two fight. Like people love the Hardy Boys. I love the Hardy Boys. So people didn't necessarily want to see them fight. They wanted to see them make a hub. They wanted to see them continue to be there for each other and continue to be a tag team. But alas, wasn't the case. Within this match, but nevertheless, still pretty okay action, and Jeff does get the win after Matt's foot is on the rope. Jeff hooks the foot off the rope. Lita was supposed to call it, but she didn't because she didn't see Matt's foot. So she gives Jeff the win, and Matt is very upset about what's happened, and Essentially, afterwards, and this is a bit later on in the show, Lita tries to apologize, and Matt is having none of it, kind of blows her off. So, yeah, even more friction between Team Extreme. Hate to see it. But next up, for the WF Tag Team Championships, the Dudley Boys, Bubba Ray and Devon, with Stacy Keibler, who I don't know if I've mentioned this so far in the storyline. And if I haven't, I'll be surprised. Oh well, I probably won't be that surprised because knowing me, I tend to miss things oftentimes. I do apologize. Um, Stacy Keibler is aligned with the Dudley Boys. She is referred to as the Duchess of Dudleyville. It might have came up because now she's been accompanying them a lot more as of late, especially within the alliance, especially when they were part of the alliance and everything. And so Stacy Keibler is the Duchess of Dudleyville, but they defend against Big Show and Kane. Big Show and Kane, two guys who have teamed up quite a bit over the years. So they're teaming up to battle the Dudleys here. This match again, all right, for the most part. It's a couple miscommunication spots between Big Show and Kane. Kane accidentally hits a diving clothesline on Big Show when he was aiming for Devon. Inversely, Big Show going for going to knock. I believe it's also Devon. He attempts to knock off the apron. And but then Big Show accidentally nails Kane, and uh, but actually, yeah, kind of Big Show. Oh, okay. Hey, it doesn't show the incidental contact with Big Show, but it does show the one with Kane. So I guess the person who wrote the article must have forgot, or is trying to cut Big Show a break. But it does lead to some friction between Kane and the Big Show. And the Dudleys kind of take advantage of that. Big Show even spanks Stacy Keibler. He like pulls down her skirt when she tries to get involved. Oh, and then he straight up just spanks her at one point. It was a different time. That's all I'll say. As he tries going for the hair at this point, Kane is off on the apron. So Big Show tries to grab Stacy Keibler by her hair when she tries to interfere again. But the Dudleys use this to hit Big Show with a 3D sort of. It's more like a double flat shot because both Devon and Bubba lift Big Show up at the same time, and they drive him into an exposed turnbuckle. Surprisingly, Big Show not busted open because usually I feel like that's usually what happens with the exposed turnbuckle spots in matches. But nevertheless, as Big Show goes right into the exposed turnbuckle, he's KO'd, no pun intended, because Big Show KO punch, but that wasn't until later on in his career. But Big Show is knocked out, and it allows the Dudleys to retain. So they end off the year, at least in terms of pay-per-views, as the WF Tag Team Champions. But next up, I should also probably mention, and is it me or do the Tag Team Championships look weird because it's the base design that they have for the Tag Team Championships, but devoid of color. I don't know if that's the new design they went for after the titles were unified, because if you remember back in Survivor Series, the WWF and the WCW Tag Team Championships were unified. I don't know if that's what's going on, but it looked kind of weird. It was a weird design, nevertheless. But nevertheless, next up, the Undertaker battles Rob Van Dam for the Hardcore Championship. Him now, Undertaker has turned heel at this point. During the segment where JR was about to be inducted into Vince McMahon's Kiss My Ass Club, Undertaker shows up saying pretty much saying like the one who kissed Vince's ass the most was him after everybody else has kissed his ass. He asks JR if he was going to kiss Vince's ass, as JR says he wasn't, and Undertaker asks, "Is that because you think you're better than me?" And then turns on JR, or shoves his head up Vince's butt. And so Undertaker now has turned heel. Well, he's now attacking people left and right, saying that he demands respect, that he feels he's not getting respect. A couple things worth mentioning as well. For starters, at this point, Undertaker has cut his hair. He now is rocking the short hair, pretty much the big evil look he would have, although he doesn't quite have the theme music. He still has the Limp Bizkit theme. But also, the music they play for the hype package for this match is Mike Knox's theme. So first Luke Gallows' theme at Rebellion and I believe Insurrection, and now, or I think it might have just been Rebellion. But first Luke Gallows' eventual theme at Rebellion, and now Mike Knox's eventual theme here at Vengeance. Love to see it, but and nevertheless, RVD has stepped up and is kind of trying to stand up to the Undertaker. So, now it's going to be Undertaker versus RVD for the Hardcore Championship. RVD is the defending champion going in, and so will he be able to defend his championship? This match. That's pretty fun. It's your standard hardcore affair. There's some fighting in the crowd. There's plenty of weapon spot. RVD even dives off the not the stage, but dives from the stands at one point. It ends with Undertaker chokeslamming RVD through 2 tables off of the stage, going down and pinning him. So the Undertaker has become the new Hardcore Champion, and RVD looked pretty good against the Undertaker. Undertaker embracing more of his heel side in this, and has become the Hardcore Champion. I don't think I've mentioned it before, but I've never really, because Undertaker's been in heel a couple times in his career. Yeah, I believe he started off as a heel. Yeah, he did, because he was along with Ted DiBiase and everything. He started off as a heel when he first came into the WWE, but I've always preferred Undertaker as a face. I feel like a lot of people don't really like heel Taker, because like I said, Taker's been heel for portions of his career. He's heel here. He would eventually turn face. Then he was heel when he was part of like Ministry of Darkness, when he was doing Vince McMahon's bidding and everything. And he started off as heel as well, where he was aligned with Ted DiBiase before team with Paul Bearer, having his alliance with Jake Roberts. But I've always preferred Undertaker as a face. Like, I feel like, and I've kind of touched on this at a couple points as well here on the channel. How some are just better at one side versus the other, that being heel or face, and then there's some who can do both, and there's some who exist kind of in the middle ground, where they're like tweeners. But I feel like I've always preferred Undertaker more as a face. But am I alone on that? Please let me know in the comments. But next up for the WWF Women's Championship, Trish Stratus defends against Jacqueline, and kind of like a lot of the other women's matches at the time, not a lot going on. It's relatively competitive, if more competitive than some of the other matches we've seen in the Invasion coverage. So I'll give them props to that. Ultimately, Trish with the roll up on to Jacqueline in order to retain over her, but they do show respect at the end. So, good for them. But now, these last three, these last three stretch of match, this last stretch of 3 matches, I think that's the verbiage I was going for. This last 3 stretch of matches is all interconnected, so we're kind of going to treat them in a way as one match, but they're kind of broken up into 3. So, it's a bit of a weird dynamic, but we're gonna try our best to make it through. It's the matches to determine who will become the inaugural Undisputed Champion. And first of all, we have first up, I should say, we have Stone Cold Steve Austin defending against Kurt Angle. It's also worth mentioning, we see throughout the night's segments with just about everybody involved, Kurt Angle and Chris Jericho show up in Ric Flair's locker room. Kurt Angle's segment is funny as hell, because Kurt shows up, talks about how he's going to be Undisputed Champion, and he goes back and forth with Ric Flair for a bit, where Kurt Angle's like, I'm going to do it, I'm going to be champion. And Ric's like, okay, hey, no, I'm going to do it. All right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to become Undisputed Champion. Okay, I believe you. like just like that really awkward back and forth, and I think the kind of the awkwardness of it and kind of the goofiness of it is what makes it really funny. And then Jericho, who kind of does something a bit similar, but doesn't quite have the same awkward energy. Jericho says after he wins tonight, he wants he wants Ric Flair to raise his hand, so Ric Flair agrees that whoever wins the Undisputed Championship tonight, he will raise their hand the next night on Raw. Meanwhile, The Rock has a segment, or I guess Austin's the only one who didn't have a segment, at least not that I remembered or saw on the show. Uh, but but um, Rock has a segment with Trish. Which, I believe around this time, they kind of had like a little romance thing going on. I believe it was around like this time, where they were very flirtatious, with each other, or kind of similar to like John Cena and Mickey James some years later, except I don't think except allegedly John Cena and Mickey James were hooking up in real life, but that's always kind of been just a rumor. I don't think it was ever fully confirmed, that I know of at least. But they have that segment there. Then there's another segment later on where Tess gets really creepy and tries to kiss Trish, and Trish like kicks him out. That was pretty weird. But anyway, as for this first match, Stone Cold defending against Kurt Angle. This match pretty solid for the most part. Thankfully, yeah, we've seen them interact so much in the storyline already, that they're able to really work with each other. Austin, for the most part, able to keep up with Angle, both kind of technicians in their own right. Hey, although Austin and less so. At least at this point in his career, due to his injuries and everything, and, which are kind of slowly but surely starting to mount up. But Nevertheless, Austin and Angle able to do really well against each other. Kurt Angle, Austin, I should say, even managing to hit 5 Germans on Angle. Or I believe it may have been the other way around. Was it? Hit, okay. Hey, never mind. So Angle hit the 3 Germans on Austin, though. And eventually he oh yeah, it was. Yeah, right. So Angle did hit the 3, but then Austin hit 5. I but his didn't look quite as fluid as Kurt's, which I guess was to be expected. But nevertheless, as stunner, Austin retains Haynes after Angle tries to hit a stunner of his own. So Kurt Angle is out. How it turns out, he really was trying to hype himself up, which Jerry Lawler brings up, and he calls it. He very much calls it, but it's also ad nauseum because Jerry Lawler brings it up constantly, like, oh, Kurt Angle, what thing he was telling Ric Flair, or was he trying to convince Ric Flair, convince himself? He like brings up quite a bit in the match. It's like, after a while, it's like, okay, we get it, but nevertheless, so Angle not able to get the job done against Austin, so Austin retains, and Austin gets kind of a break before or the official, I guess, main event. But then next up, Jericho, which, by the way, the Trish and Test segment happens between Austin Angle and then Jericho and Rock. But nevertheless, The Rock defends the World Championship against Chris Jericho. Again, similar to Angle and Austin, Rock and Jericho are able to have pretty decent chemistry. There's a moment where her Jericho attempts to rock bottom through the announce table, but Rock nails the DDT. And then and Jericho tries a people's elbow of his own. Rock reverses that into the sharpshooter. Vince shows up and shows up and essentially costs The Rock the match, and Jericho nails the low blow and a rock bottom of his own and gets the win off of that. So Chris Jericho is once again the WCW World Champion, but he doesn't have time to rest or celebrate because as then Austin comes down for the official main event, and to crown the first ever undisputed WWF Champion, and Austin versus Angle. Pretty good back and forth between the two. Who I believe this might be the only time I'm in this within this arc of review where or reviewing the Invasion / Alliance pay-per-views where Jericho and Angle, not Jericho and Angle, Jericho and Austin have officially gone 1-on-1. Obviously, they had interactions in the 5-on-5 and everything, but pretty solid action, pretty decent action between the two in the main event, and eventually referee's taken out McMahon and comes back out. Brings Nick Patrick down, which is kind of weird considering Nick Patrick was just on the side that tried to take out your company. But time heals all wounds. Nick Patrick tries to make the count for Jericho. But then Ric Flair shows up, pulls Nick Patrick out, and decks the crap out of him. Essentially he causes essentially causes friction there between the two, and Austin takes out McMahon. However, as Austin, I believe, as Austin has the Walls of Jericho / Boston Crab in, then Booker T shows up and hits Austin with the championship. That allows Jericho to go over to the cover and pin Austin to become the first ever undisputed WWF champion. And yes, Chris Jericho beats The Rock and Steve Austin in the same night, something he's brought up 1,000 times. A thousand times since, but Jericho is the new undisputed champion, which was kind of unexpected, and the crowd is definitely into it. Like, of all the people in this main event, you would think it'd be Rock or Austin, I should say, who would become the first ever undisputed champion. Even JR says people predict that Rock and Austin are going to main event, and apparently I'm reading in the article here. Apparently, Angle was supposed to be the one to become the first undisputed champion, but Vince changed. Apparently, Vince changed the finish 1 week earlier, and decided to pop it on Jericho. Because the fans were really into him. So, Jericho with a huge surprise. Almost, I don't want to say dark horse because Jericho has been world heavyweight champion up to this point, but him being the first ever undisputed champion is very much a welcome surprise, and I do like them taking that chance on Jericho being the undisputed champion. Now, the reign itself is kind of a different story, with him essentially being fed to Triple H, who, despite being on the poster for Vengeance, is not, in fact, on this card, which kind of sucks. And you can tell Triple H almost looks kind of sad, just kind of, he has his, I'm gonna use my mic, he has his sledgehammer, his head's over his sledgehammer, he's kind of just like this, just like, he looks. I think he's supposed to look like focused or like in thought, but he looks very much sad. I'll put a photo on the screen. But that's but Triple H essentially fused with Jericho when he comes back, makes the big return Madison Square Garden, wins the Royal Rumble. He faces Jericho at WrestleMania 18. By that point, Stephanie teams up with Chris Jericho, the man who insulted her at just about every chance he got. So, wrestling, I guess, but that's probably a story for another time. I'm sure I'll cross that bridge eventually. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is Vengeance. And so, as for the strongest and weakest match of the night, the strongest is, I guess, if we're rolling everything up into one, that final stretch of matches to crown the undisputed champion, and all three were pretty good in their own right, and the story told throughout. Oh, and of course, Austin would go on to feud with Booker T, including in the very famous supermarket brawl, which cost WWE quite a bit of money, but it made for a memorable moment. And at this point, I'm sure the WWE could afford it. As for the weakest, probably Trish versus Jacqueline, and yeah, I think I'm going to go with Trish versus Jacqueline. But nevertheless, that is going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And we are finally done with the Invasion pay-per-views, and then, or the Invasion storyline in terms of pay-per-views. And then once we do the final analysis tomorrow, then we'll officially be done, and I will finally be free of this burden. But that I've placed on myself. That is due to my own poor planning and everything. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on those post notifications so you know every time I upload a video so you never miss an upload. And let me know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts on Vengeance 2001 in my review. Do you like the show? Do you like my review of the show? Let me know. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Peace.